how do you respond when you fail at something?
Yes, or make mistakes.
Okay.
I actually did it recently. I made a bit of a mistake and I almost ran with it, but I had to bring myself back and know that you're always gonna learn something. Like,
I love that.
everything isn't perfect all the time. Forever, even if we think we know everything, we're always gonna learn something new about situations, events, and about ourselves. So I had to bring myself back and know that, okay, this is just a learning step. Like, I have to now learn from this and do better the next time. And I really had to pause and say, it's okay. It was a mistake and I'm gonna do better, and that makes you stronger every single time. Like, where you are now, you had to make mistakes and fail and learn over and over again to get you to where you are now. So I feel like that's how I deal with it.
So I think you mentioned something important, which is seeing it as a lesson, seeing it as an opportunity for growth. So not letting yourself catastrophize it, because in the past I couldn't handle failure. I couldn't handle making a mistake. I would make a mistake and then beat myself up about it and be like, okay, well, does that mean that like, what was I thinking? Like, am I dumb? Like,
how could I?
I could have done better. I should have studied harder, or you know. And so when we are still kind of attached, I suppose, to the outcome, and when we are attached to a certain expectation of how we want to show up, and maybe people pleasing, then we take that failure even more personally. And we see it as a fault on our end, instead of just seeing it as, okay, I didn't know better at the time, but now I do know better. You know, so I think what's crucial is having the growth mindset and seeing every failure really as a learning curve, because in every failure, it isn't actually a failure if you continue to try. If you give up completely on the pursuit of that thing, then maybe you could say that you failed, but even then you've just maybe learned that isn't for you. So seeing it as a lesson and then trying again until you get it right is one way to take it, but also importantly not taking it personally, not seeing the failure as a reflection of you, seeing it as maybe something that just didn't work out for whatever reason, because you needed to learn that thing in order to succeed at it.
And that could help you for something coming up, and you'll be like, oh, that's why I needed to learn that for this.
Like, if you think about the most successful entrepreneurs, like even the movie, that chess movie, The Queen's Gambit, the series.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, so The Queen's Gambit is a series about chess. And I don't know if it's true, but I saw something posted online where they said it took 30 years for someone to take that script and see potential in it. And so that person, just like the woman who wrote Harry Potter, she was taking it every single time, like, to publishers, saying, read the story, publish it, this is a good, like, and she had to constantly face that rejection, all that failure, in order to then, you know, eventually just keep going, tweak it here and there, it, improve it, but don't give up, keep trying. And 30 years later, it's a huge hit. And I mean, it's a phenomenal story. Even the Harry Potter story, it's been so successful, and it's because those people never gave up. And so if they had seen themselves as a failure because they took that rejection personally, they wouldn't even try to improve their approach. They wouldn't try to keep going because they would take that personally. So you can't take it personally and think that it's a reflection of you. It's maybe just you haven't yet learned what you need to learn in order to succeed at this thing, or you haven't developed the skills, or you haven't something, the timing just isn't there yet. But if you keep trying and if you keep learning through it and you don't give up, then you will eventually succeed. Because it does take persistence too.
There's even the quote, you don't go through life, you grow through life. So everything is for your growth, so it's a good thing. Always see it as a good thing. And feedback is also always good.
And that is feedback.
And you need the feedback.
So it's not really a failure. Failure is not really, I don't think failure is even really a thing. You don't actually ever fail.
Let's change the word.
So I think maybe a mistake is definitely another way to look at it, depending on the context, but you always, it's just a lesson. I like
Make
that.
them boo-boos, girl.
Yeah, make them movies and learn from the movies.